logo. Good evening. All stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you to all the veterans and their families for the sacrifices that you have made. That's appreciated. First on the agenda is financial department with their report. Everyone should have that. Do you want to give any highlights or?
Sure. Yes, Mayor and Council, I emailed you the monthly revenue and expenditure statement for the month of January, which also includes the year-to-date. It's been a very busy couple of weeks with the closeout of the fiscal year and the start of the new year and getting all the information entered into the system for the new FY23 budget. If you do have any questions about the revenue and expenditure statement that was emailed to you, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to discuss any of it with you. But of the understanding that we're still receiving invoices in from FY22, even though we're getting them in FY23. So some of these numbers can ultimately change based on any accruals that we're going to have to make for this year. So if you have any questions, just please let me know. A couple of highlights I would like to just bring up is as far as the audit for the FY21, we have just come across a few hiccups, as we always do in every audit that we complete, and where we were shooting for a June 30th or end of June date to complete the FY21, we're looking at probably into mid-August at this point. So hoping by the end of August, we'll be able to give you draft financials. So with that being said, I still want to point out that, in the last 2.5 years, we've completed 5 years worth of audits, which is an incredible journey and an incredible amount of work that has been completed. So we're almost there. We're almost up to date. Even once we get FY21 to bed, whether it be in July or August, we're still geared up to getting the FY22 completed by the end of this calendar year, which would put us to date. So.
April, I didn't get the finance report for some reason. As you know, I was having problems with my phone.
Well, I just sent the revenue and expenditure statement today because I was just able to close out the fiscal year today. So you probably received it at about 3:30 or so this afternoon.
Okay, I see it now. All right.
Another thing that we are looking into is changing financials. We have received one demo last week. The mayor and I sat here with the company, and Aisha and Joe were also in on the conversation. We just had a lot of issues with our financial software, with the customer support, with the training. The list goes on. So one of the things that we've been discussing actually over the last year and a half or so is moving over to a new financial software company. And we received our first demo from a company called Edmunds. And they come very highly rated for smaller municipalities, something that fits more for the city of Statham, utility billing, less headaches, more reports. So this is going to be a continuing process. We're going to reach out to another financial software company and get a demo from them as well. So kind of be aware that this is something that we are looking into. I think from when the city was in the 2015 and 16, they were using QS1 at the time, and they converted over to the current software. And from the beginning, during the transfer, things just were not transferred correctly from the QS1 into the Smart Fusion, and we're just correcting a lot of things. Over the last 5 years, we're still correcting things. So it's gotten to the point where sat with me today for 4.5 hours trying to figure some things out and still cannot. So we're just at a point where, okay, we either need to start completely over with this current financial software or see about moving into something else. And at this point, we're all more, let's look into something else. So, again, these are just, issues that have started from years prior to any of us being here, and we're still trying to get them corrected.
Any questions? Okay. Next on the agenda, police department update. We have a one-page informational. I know our public information officer is off today. I'm not quite sure where the chief is. But it's shown that we had 23 reports, 62 citations. We had 135 traffic warnings, 3 accidents, 13 arrests, 10 warrants, 1 drug or DUI related, and then the daily neighborhood checks and business checks done by the PD, and we appreciate that. In the court for 2022, so we had 8 citations, 67 warrants issued, 7 probation year to date, 29 of them. Scheduled for court, we have 98 scheduled, I would think, next Monday. And we have trails scheduled for court trials, I'm sorry. It is misspelled. I read it like I saw it. Trials scheduled for court 4. So, I've been busy. My understanding, I've got word here late. The chief said that Officer Russo and the new K-9 will graduate on Friday. Would you like to give a little update?
Yes, sir, thank you.
I apologize for overlooking.
No, sir, please, no. I've met some of you. I'm Jay Nichols, and I'm the new captain at the Statham Police Department. These are 3 of Statham's finest, and I'd be remiss to not point them out to you. They're the ones who get out and do the dirty work and the nitty-gritty. The chief get all the, and I get all the attention, but they're the ones who do the tough stuff, and we appreciate them. Sergeant Russo, not Officer Russo anymore, he's a sergeant now, just graduated, will graduate in the morning from a state certified K-9 program. He will bring to Statham a K-9 who can track and who can detect drugs. It is not a bite dog. It's not an apprehension dog. It's a dog for tracking and for drug detection. I'm very proud of him. He worked hard in the heat, day after day, to train with the dog. And the handler, the school basically said, we got the dog ready. If the dog's not successful, it's because you not got the dog. So we put a little pressure on him, and Sergeant Russo has handled that pressure well. And we are extraordinarily proud of him and looking forward to having another tool in our toolbox for enforcing the law and keeping all of you safe. Our citizens are our why. And we appreciate the opportunity to be here, and we don't see it as a job, we see it as a calling. And it's our responsibility to protect and serve. We may write tickets, but that's just part of the job. That's not why we're here. That's just a small part of what we do. The chief is at the Lions Club tonight. He joined the Lions Club and had that responsibility tonight at 7, so he had me come up here and represent him. And I just want to say thank you to our elected officials, to our citizens,
surpassed his expectations, and even better nosed than the canine that unfortunately didn't work out for the city. So he's pretty excited. It's quite a dog. So look forward to having him serve as one of our officers. And I believe it's a lady though.
Right, but Risto was a little bit disappointed because he was expecting to get a male dog and wanted to name him Nitro. But when he got to the canine in school, he was given a female. She's a part Malinois, part Shepherd. And her name is Nora rather than Nitro. And she's a beautiful dog. And the guy who owns the school said that she was one of the best trained dogs. He thinks she must have done some tracking in Holland where she came from, because she came already with training and the ability to do her job. So we're excited to have her.
Mayor, would you maybe want to introduce Officer Isaac, since we did make a post on Facebook about it, but.
Sure. I appreciate that. This is Officer Isaac. He just graduated from the police academy last Friday. He is a veteran, and I'll let Jeff tell you a little bit about himself.
As Captain said, 3-year veteran in the Army, combat experience overseas. I came back, got my degree, decided that I wanted to continue to serve the people, and policing was the next step in that. So went to the police academy. Chief Hunter has been very, very grateful and gracious to give me a chance, and went to the police academy, and now we're here.
So that's why. Jeff, he does have a wife.
She's a 7th grade special education teacher. So.
Which is another form of service.
Yeah,
that I
well,
strongly admire. So we're really proud of Terry, proud that he's with us.
I don't know if anyone knows the other two officers, but Officer Coachiola, a little bit about yourself, please.
I come from Florida. I did 3.5 years of law enforcement in Florida in Brevard County. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with that. So I come with some policing experience and made my way up here, found this great city. Chief Underwood gave me a chance and loved it ever since. So I'm happy to be here.
Coach Ellis married, has a child about to turn 1 and another child due in December. Yeah, 2 under 2. So he'll have to work on his little rest.
I'm Anthony Constantini. Like you said, same amount of experience. I came from Gwinnett County Police Department and given an opportunity to work in Circleville in the city of Salem. And I'm very proud and gracious to be here.
Good significant other, your fiance, girlfriend?
Constantini.
She is also a special education agent.
That's the way to put a little pressure.
Mayor, to avoid any legal entanglements, I might want to remind everybody that this is being broadcast on YouTube. Surprises.
Yeah.
And I want you to notice that we know these guys. They're not just employees to us. They're important to us. They matter to us. Their families matter to us. And we can tell you personal things about them. They can tell you personal things about us. And that's the way the state and police department operates. We really are the team. We are a family. And we're grateful to be here.
Captain, I've heard nothing but good things about you. I saw July 4th, you going around meeting everybody. That really impressed me. Just like I said, I've heard nothing but great things about you.
Thank you, sir.
I think we got a good team coming along. And by the way, the chief updated me that we'll be able to expand our hours. We're still working towards the 24/7, but we will have expanded hours, and that's about all I'm going to allude to. Next on the agenda is the update report from the Public Works Department. They have been extremely busy. We've had several water breaks, and they've installed a lot of new meters, have been set for new homes. We did have a couple of, bigger ones. Of course, grass cutting at this time of year is always an ongoing, episode for everyone. Sam gets out there on the golf cart with the sprayer and try to, stunt the growth of some of this stuff. Of course, trash pickup is a daily thing, both directions that you might walk. And we are continuing to update our map for the sewer system and the water system with the help of EMI and some other agencies. So making progress in that aspect. June was a hot month. I think July is hotter. Doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot of relief, but I keep telling the guys to stay hydrated as much as possible. As everyone knows, the sewer line behind Castos was completed. And we're working with EMI right now to look at how best to handle the drainage on Railroad Street, which would be on the other side of Castos building. There are pipes under that roadway that are completely clogged, and the best line of action is to replace them with a bigger type of pipe. So that's all the updates. So first thing on the discussion item is the Axion enterprise agreement, and that would approve the mayor to sign and update the agreement with Axion Enterprises, Inc. for police department body cams for 60 months, beginning August 1, 2022, and ending through July 31st, 2027. The cost is a maximum of $10,076.50 per year per that agreement. And that should have been in everyone's packet. Is there any questions in reference to that? Probably the captain would be able to answer. I think April worked with the chief and Axion to trim some of the excess that was in that contract, some things that they basically was overlap in services, extended warranties for what we felt was more than if a unit was broken, we could replace it for less than what it cost to have the extended warranty. So I think that contract's been trimmed down a considerable amount, and something that I think we can live with. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, we shaved off about $6,000 off of the original proposal that they had sent us. The reason why I put a maximum of $10,076 is because that is what is included in the agenda packet. We're still trying to negotiate a few charges that the chief and I and Officer Hood have been working on this for about a month, trying to do some negotiating with Axon, and so it's a most would be spending the $10,076 per year, but we are going to try to trim that down just a little bit more. But currently, as it is that we cannot receive a refresh, which is refreshing all of the body cams, if we do not pay for the extended warranty, and we cannot only pay for a refresh of the system, we have to pay for the extended warranty, which is what I have an issue with. So, like I said, the extended warranty is, I think it's $1,300 $19,000 just in itself. I'm sorry. No, 8,200 is just the extended warranty, and that's assuming that we are going to break every single body cam that we have, when in reality we can purchase a brand new one for $699, and in the last 3 years, we haven't had anything go wrong with any of them. So, okay, so we're still going back and forth with that, but at a maximum, it will be this current agreement if we cannot negotiate the cost of the extended warranty.
The opportunities for grants out there for this type
For
of.
body cams,
Yeah.
I do not know. This is just what the chief has brought to the table. This is the same company, I mean, we currently use Axon, and we've used them for several years, I believe. So this is just a renewal agreement because our current agreement expires.
Any other questions? Okay. Second on the agenda is the City of Statham personnel policy change, for leave type. To approve a change to the city's employee benefits leave type in the personnel policy handbook on pages 74 through 78, and implement a new paid time off or PTO accrual system, and cancel the current vacation time and sick time policy. The new policy will go into effect January 1, 2023, to minimize any conversion loss from the former sick and vacation policy to the PTO policy. Employees who converted PTO balances are in excess of their new longevity cap on the effective date of this policy will be able to retain the excess amount and use down this excess through December 31st, 2021. And then on January 1, 2023, all excess sick time will be forfeited and all excess vacation time will be paid to the employee. Should any employee terminate their employment for any reason prior to January 1st, 2023, all excess time, excluding vacation time, will be forfeited. That was in the packet that everyone was provided. Is there any questions on the table at this time?
I have one. You're saying that at 2023, if they have sick time, vacation, or sick time for 2022 left, it's going to be forfeited?
No, ma'am.
What are you saying?
First of all, I just saw a typo, where it says to use down the excess time through December 31st. It should say, actually it should say 2022, not 2021, so I apologize about that. But, the new PTO policy presented is something that, Councilmember Patterson and I have talked about several times. Something that he has, brought to our attention. I've been working with Councilmember Patterson on benefits, insurance and benefits. He has a lot of experience in that. And the idea of going to PTO time just seems to be something that would better fit the City of Statham and City of Statham employees. Any vacation, so based on years of service, the longevity meaning years of service, or however long an employee has been employed here, there is a cap per years of service. So for somebody who's been here for instance, like me, I've been here 2.5 years, the cap would be 120 hours of accrued PTO per year. Now, at the end of this year, I may not use all of my vacation time. That can be rolled over. Now, the difference is whatever the amount is rolled over, and if you reach your max already from being, having that amount rolled over, that you either have to use it to bring down under the maximum or get paid for it. You will not, no vacation time is being forfeited whatsoever. So I we try to encourage him to get out of the office, we'll still be here, so at the end of this year, he may have 100 hours of vacation. He can absolutely roll that over, and it will turn into PTO time. Now, with him being here 2.5 years, the same as me, he and I were hired about just 1 month apart, or 2 months apart, that once he starts building up his accrual rate, because the accrual rate is also listed in the policy, it's also based on longevity or years of service, that once you reach a maximum amount of, in my instance and Chief's instance, 120 hours, you either use your time, use it down, or you take a payout to reduce those hours. So no time and no employee is going to lose or have forfeited any vacation time.
And to add to that, instead of having sick time and vacation time, it's PTO. Whatever you want to use it for. If you're sick, you take it as sick time, but it's still paid time off.
You take a PTO. So if an employee needs to call in because they're sick, they don't have to give a reason. Just, I'm going to use some PTO. Or, but this is also a way to encourage employees to come to work every day. Because because we're such a small organization, when 1 or 2 or 3 employees call out and it's done frequently, it puts the rest of us in this situation, whether it's the police department or city hall or public works department, just kind of puts everybody in a bind. So this is also a way to encourage people, instead of possibly using sick time, that maybe they would think twice about using their PTO.
How does that affect the people that have been here longer than you? The
For
ones,
which part?
um,
For like the sick time?
yeah.
So we did add an incentive, because there are several employees who don't ever call in, and they have built up a large number of sick hours. We've all experienced it working anywhere. You have employees who call in all the time, or you have employees who never call in. So to incentivize any employee who has, not used sick time, any hours between 96 and 144 or 148, that will be rolled over into PTO time. And the reason for 96 hours is because that is what would be accrued in a full year if somebody doesn't call in sick. So that's the maximum number of hours that can be accrued for sick time in 1 year. So we had to create a base, so the base is going to be 96 hours. So if an employee has 120 hours, as of January 1st, 2023, they have 120 hours of sick time because they haven't called in the last 15 months, but that's going to be rolled over into PTO. Now, we're also capping it because otherwise sick time would not be paid. So in the event that an employee leaves employment from the city of Statham, it is not a guaranteed pay. So people don't get paid on the sick time that they have accrued and they've not used. So this is really a way to incentivize employees to come to work, and at the same time, we're allowing them to turn that into PTO. So it's actually a little bonus, if you will, an incentive.
Yeah, because you got a lot of employees just feel guilty about calling in sick.
Right.
And this way, you say, hey, I can just take PTO.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
so I think
And you don't have to, no excuses, it's just, I need to use PTO today. And because, now certain, employees who have additional, vacation left at the end of this calendar year, that will be rolled over, so they will have a starting point if they have vacation that they haven't used. So, like Chief Underwood, he hadn't used today, so he's gonna get his rolled over. Now, like I said, of course, we want all employees to take a break from work and enjoy their families and enjoy their personal time. So, I really think that the PTO is gonna be a good way for employees to take time off and enjoy themselves, because now we have a max number of hours that can be accrued, and at the same time hold everybody accountable for their jobs as the citizens and the mayor and council expect to be performed. So I believe that it's a win-win, but nobody will lose any vacation.
questions?
I don't have a copy of the handbook present,
Okay.
so can I get one?
I emailed it to everybody, last week.
Personnel, policy.
Thank you.
I printed it out this morning.
Okay, so I haven't had time to look at this. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we move to, item 3, City of Statham Personnel Policy Change. This is pay period. This would approve a change to the city's pay system in the Personnel Policy Handbook, page 66 through 69, and implement a new pay period for all city employees to be paid on a bi-weekly basis. Payroll checks will be processed on Wednesday. When a pay date falls on an official city holiday, employees will be paid on the day after the holiday. This new policy will go into effect January 10, 2023. Currently, as everyone's probably aware, we have city employees, which is a handful, are all paid every week. Then we have the police department that's paid every 2 weeks. And then we have the one pay where everybody's paid, the police paid, and the council and the mayor are paid. This would kind of streamline and help with offsetting some of the workload and allow that time to be utilized by the administration for other things if they're not doing payroll every week, and they do it every other week, that it would help alleviate some of that. And there, like anything, there's a possibility of human error, so this would eliminate, I think, more human error if you're only doing it every other week. And it would be all employees, and then once a month it would be all employees, and then council and mayor.
A question.
Yes.
Are the employees aware of this, that they might know that this change of every 2 weeks?
Yes, ma'am. The employees have been made aware of a potential change, and which is also another reason why we're giving employees a 6-month notice before this change goes into effect. This is something that's been having part of the staff paid weekly and part of the staff paid bi-weekly is internally it causes it gets pretty stressful because a lot of times we don't get time cards in time, and we have to process payroll by noon on Monday in order for employees to get it, well, based on their direct deposit bank on Tuesday. It's a lot of pressure on administration and staff to try to complete the payroll before noon on Mondays, when sometimes we don't get time cards until 11 o'clock in the morning. And then when that occurs, and it's on the bi-weekly schedule, so when everybody gets paid, it's Aisha and I and Joe, you sit through lunch, you don't take a lunch because you have to try to get everybody's payroll done. And then another reason why we want to move it from Mondays to Wednesdays is because the majority of our holidays fall on either a Friday or a Monday. So, like, as an example, the 4th of July weekend, the staff wanted to be paid before the 4th of July holiday for that next week. So, because holiday was on a Monday. And so by reducing the holiday schedule interfering with payday, we're also requesting to move the pay day to Wednesday instead of Monday. Because then in that event, the only day that a holiday would fall on would be probably like Christmas, and that would be every however many years that would actually occur. But if a holiday fell on a Wednesday, it still allows us to get the time cards on Monday and Tuesday, and then we still have all day Tuesday to work on payroll and get it submitted, by Wednesday by noon. So it still gives staff plenty of time to make sure that payroll is done accurately. And at the same time, everybody's gonna be on the same schedule. So, the council would still be paid, once a month, but, staff, it would get everybody on the same schedule.
How would y'all adjust that first paycheck? They get paid weekly right now, they go down to 2 weeks.
Yeah, we looked at the calendar and the way that the pay dates fall, so for weekly employees, so the last, I think it's December 26th, would be the last Monday pay. And then essentially, the weekly employees are gonna have to wait 2 weeks, just the same as the police department, and then everybody will be paid on, I think it's on Wednesday, I think it's January 11th of 2023. So, we won't have to adjust anything because right now we're weekly. So all employees would be paid on that Monday, I think it's December 26th, if I'm remembering correctly. And then everybody gets paid 2 weeks later. And because the way that our pay falls, our pay week ends on Saturday. So there isn't anything that would be missed on that Sunday unless the officers, which they're already on a 2-week schedule, so it wouldn't affect them at all.
April, how many is this affecting us all, that's being paid weekly?
I would say 10.
Okay. Just, I know my husband gets paid once a week too, and he works for a big company. Will the taxes, what about the taxes that's taken out? Will they be paying more at that point, or?
It depends on, that's
Well, that's
the accounting question. That's all gonna be based on how the employee files.
Okay.
To be honest with you, with the new, federal forms, the 2022 federal forms, people aren't being taxed near as much as what they used to be.
Okay.
So the tax tables have completely changed, and that doesn't have anything to do with us as far as
Okay.
pay as much as it is how they file.
I got you.
As far as that, you said that on the 26th, they get paid, and those weekly would have to go 2 weeks. And I know it's right there at Christmas. Could there be a safety net? Get one more? So it would have to.
That is up to you guys. If council would prefer to wait an additional 2 weeks after that, to get through the holidays, I'm fine with that too. But, at that point, we would just have to do it we'd have to basically fall on the bi-weekly schedule. So if the on a Wednesday, but because like I said, I would like to move it to the Wednesday too, which I think makes that January 11th, 2023. So, you guys can, set when you want that to go in effect. If you would prefer to let, employees kind of get through the holidays, I'm fine with that, but,
That's what I would.
so that would be, to go to, July. Okay, so it would go to January 25th. So then essentially, if it went to January 25th, then the last weekly pay period would be January 9th, right? And then they would wait 2 weeks. So they would get paid that following week, and then they would wait 2 weeks. Yeah.
Other questions, concerns? Okay.
Yes, we would need to change.
Sometimes you wouldn't. It's actually.
Oh, yes, because it's the day after, okay. So the effective date, right, actually,
So, on the agenda, it states the effective date would be January 10th. That's actually, if we wanted this to start on the 1st of January, that would be incorrect. So, actually, I guess you would need to say this goes into effect on January 9th, because they will be paid on the 9th for work done
right.
the previous week. And so the new pay periods will take effect and will start January 9th, because they'll work this week, that week, and then be paid on the 25th for work performed the weeks of the 9th and 16th.
Any other questions? Next on the agenda, number 4, this is more of a clarification on a cloudy issue in the handbook, and it's City of Salem personnel policy change for bereavement to approve a change to city's bereavement leave policy in the personnel policy handbook, page 78. The new policy states full-time employees shall be eligible for bereavement leave after 90 days of employment. Bereavement leave of up to 3 consecutive working days shall be granted to an employee in the event of a death in an immediate family. A total of 3 days of paid bereavement leave shall be granted per calendar year. This leave will be paid at the regular employee rate, will not count towards overtime. Bereavement hours that extend 3 days are bereavement hours that exceed 3 days are unpaid unless PTO is used by the employee. There is no accumulation of bereavement leave and no payment upon separation from the city employment. So basically it boils down to if you had in our handbook covers mothers, fathers, stepmothers, stepfathers, brothers, sisters, I believe and then the children. So it's quite extensive that they consider the immediate.
I believe, and we looked into this issue a couple weeks ago, it came up. There was some ambiguity in the personnel handbook about the number of days and the number of times you can use it. I believe the way it is written, the way I interpret it, is you get 24 hours of bereavement leave for each event, up to 3 events a year. I don't think that was the intent of the policy. I think the intent of the policy is what we have drafted to clarify, that you get 3 days for a qualifying event. We're not changing the definition of a qualifying event. We are simply clarifying that it would be 3 days instead of 1, and there's no limit on the number of qualifying events per year. But we also wanted to be clear, this isn't something that accrues. It is triggered by a passing of a relative. That's effectively the change. It's more of a clarification and putting into place what we believe the original intent should have been, or was.
So what you're saying is you just want a one-time bereavement thing of 3 days and that's it?
Exactly the opposite. As many 3 days as happens. We don't want to put any kind of limitation on the number of times somebody would be eligible for bereavement. And we wanted it to go from 1 day to 3 days.
It says right here, a total of 3 days of paid bereavement leave shall be granted per calendar year.
Oh, calendar, okay.
But, so, you know.
Well, the way that the current policy reads also is that no matter how many qualifying events take place, that an employee is paid 3 days for each per occurrence. So when we did the research on bereavement and any sort of federal regulation, nobody has to pay for bereavement. So in order to, in any event, an employee can take up to 3 days for every single event that occurs.
I think that's just kind of confusing. It just says a total of 3 days of paid bereavement
Well,
per calendar year. I think that's right.
Stop there, that's right.
A total of 3 paid days will be provided to the employee, not a total. So a total of 3 paid. Anything more than paid, then they will have to use PTO. Bereavement leave of up to 3 days shall be granted to an employee in the event of a death in the immediate family.
You get
So,
1 a year.
I'm sorry?
So you're saying you get 1 a year?
Paid.
One
One
is
paid.
paid, but they can take as many bereavement days as they need.
That's what was
Yeah,
confusing.
and I just spoke.
Yeah, okay.
That's on me.
All right.
If they have an in-law that's on the list and they only take a day for the actual funeral,
Right.
they still have 2 days for that calendar
Paid
year.
But
bereavement.
then if later on in the year, they can still take 3 days.
Absolutely,
They don't have to use
anytime.
PTO.
either unpaid or they can use PTO. Yes.
Any other questions? No? Fifth on the agenda is the city, state, and personnel policy change. This has to do with holidays. This to approve a change to the city's observance of holidays in the personnel policy handbook on page 81 and implement a new policy for holidays. The new policy states when a holiday falls on a Sunday, it will typically be observed on the following Monday. Holidays that fall on Saturday will typically be observed the preceding Friday. Holiday schedules may be altered by City Council when Christmas Eve naturally falls on a Sunday. The holiday may be observed the Tuesday following a Monday, Christmas Day, or as approved by the City Council. Floating holiday is granted to each employee each calendar year. Floating holiday must be used a single 8-hour day, and insert typo here. 8-hour day, and hours may not be divided between different. Floating holiday must be used in the calendar year in which it was received and will not be rolled over into the following year. Floating holidays are not paid upon separation from the city. This policy would go into effect January 1, 2023. Now, does it cover the situation that Saturday or Sunday is Christmas, they're getting Friday and Monday?
When Christmas Eve naturally falls on a Sunday, the holiday may be observed the Tuesday following a Monday, Christmas Day, right? As approved by City Council. And the reason why I put that, the reason why I added to be approved by City Council, because at the first meeting of every year, we approve the calendar for that year. So based on whatever day Christmas Day falls on, the council can decide, okay, well, we're going to, because if it falls on a Saturday, because it says that, we get Christmas Day and Christmas Eve off, but if Christmas Day is on a Saturday, then sometimes employees could potentially feel like they're, losing out on a day holiday. So this clarifies it really to allow council to decide every year when we approve the calendar, the holiday calendar for that year, for council to decide whether or not, an extra day will be given to the employees for that calendar year based on what day the holiday falls on. That makes sense.
Because the way it was written, if it landed on a Saturday, you got Saturday anyway by default.
Right. So you didn't get an extra day.
And you didn't get.
So-
Everyone taking, well, I think that happened last year.
It happened last year, which is why we want to correct it, and, but we don't want to say, we don't want to put something in, in writing saying, okay, well, if it falls on a Tuesday, you may or may not get it, so if it's left up to the council to approve the calendar, we can base whatever Christmas falls on that particular year, what council approves for holiday day.
This year, it'll land on a Sunday.
Right.
So we're gonna have the same
So,
scenario as last year.
right.
And, trying to avoid that. For 5 years, you always get 2 days.
Right, because it was Monday through Friday.
And I'm all for if it falls on a Saturday or Sunday, having that Friday and that Monday off.
Right.
I mean, they
Right.
get a long weekend and they have to travel.
So, if we leave it up to council moving forward to each year, just when we adopt the holiday schedule, you can determine based on whatever the holidays fall on that year, what days want to be provided for holiday.
City Hall will be closed on those days as well?
Yes.
So if council decided that on a Saturday or Sunday, they just automatically Friday and Monday would be
Right.
the holidays, and like Lee says, it's a 4-day. So, all right, any other questions on that? contract proposal. This is to discuss a wholesale water purchase agreement. Jordan and I sat down with the county and worked a little bit of an agreement. The reason that the county is willing to do this is, I guess, their SPLOST funds are going to basically offset the cost of the expansion at Bear Creek. And so the more water that they sell wholesale, the better it is for them, because then their cost for the filtration and the treatment goes down. We read over this. Of course, being a contract, I sent it over to Attorney Campbell and had him look through it to make sure that there was nothing that the city had to be concerned about legally. He and I talked, and he said, legally, it is a good contract. Now, that brings it to what Jordan talked about, that a couple of the concerns is, it's great that they're saying that we could purchase up to 150,000 gallons per day at a rate of $3 per 1,000 gallons. If we go over that 150 per day, we would get it for $2.90, which is even better. The big caveat that I see is this is a 10-year contract with no out, which means that if we continue to explore possibilities for the city to become more water independent, and let's say we do that by 4 years from now, we're going to pay for 150,000 gallons a day, whether we take it, or it's a pay and take, or take and pay type of contract. So one, there's no out on this contract, which I did speak with Chris Yancey. The other concern was, well, part of that, I think something like and I think you and I agree, Counselor, something like a 5-year option. And at that point, if we're not prepared to, back out of the contract, then maybe another 2 years, have another option. And at the end of that thing, you're only talking 3 years difference. That it may be something that they would be inclined to make that change. The other big thing that we saw was, I believe on the 4th page, it basically said that they could exercise the option to cap us at 150,000. So if we have a greater need, and we can't meet that need, they could make the decision to say, you get 150,000 a day and no more. And they can do that for 6-month period or whatever. So those were the couple of concerns that I saw when I looked at this contract. Was there another one that, I think there was 3 that George and I didn't hear about. One was the locked in at 10 years. One was the fact that they could cap us at 150,000.
Those are the issues that I flagged. And just so we're clear, when I say that this contract is good, I mean that it's valid. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a good business decision. That's a decision y'all get to make, not me. But the mayor has flagged the biggest issues that I saw, which is the take or pay, meaning you're gonna pay for 150,000 gallons a day regardless of whether or not you take it or not. Just so you want to know what that is, that translates to $13,500 a month, based on a 30-day month. There is no right to terminate, so you are locking that in for 10 years. So $1.35 million, that's the number, over the, well, I take it back. Is that the right number? No. more than that. Don't let a lawyer do math.
Well, currently, we are paying, I believe it's $517 per thousand. So
What?
it is considered better.
It's 1.62 million.
1.2.
1.62 million over the life of the contract. And as the mayor pointed out, if the city's water exploration ultimately bears fruit, then you're going to be paying that regardless of whether we need it or not. And then the point that the mayor brought up is in paragraph number 4, the second sentence. Barrow County shall have the right to refuse to supply additional water to the city of Statham in excess of the daily quantity established in paragraph 2, if in the discretion of Barrow County the supply of additional water is not in the best interest of Barrow County. So if they have other obligations or their non-wholesale customers, their retail customers requires all their availability, they can stop it. They are only guaranteeing 150,000 gallons a day and no more. If they have it and they're willing to, they'll do it, but they also have the unfettered right to say no.
We need more than that now.
We produce roughly 120,000 from the spring, and we need about 300,000 a day. So we do have an agreement with Winder, and Winder is roughly $3.15 per thousand. Is what it averages out to. So it's right in this general vicinity. However, Winder usually about June will basically cut us off until late November that we can't get any from them. So then we buy more from the county and at the higher rate. So in the aspect of the dollar amount is
So currently, there's no cap with Barrow County as
No.
far as water. So if we have a drought, we don't have to worry about our water being.
yeah, and they have nothing that protects them and nothing that shuts us down.
So basically, water cuts us off in June, and we get a drought, and we get this, we're in trouble.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that I wanted to just bring to the council's attention. And Chris Yancey said that he wanted to put it before the Barrow County
Commissioners?
things, brain lock commissioners. And I said that, we wouldn't even be able to discuss it until, Thursday of this week. Then our voting session is 12 days later. So he's like, well, we were hoping we could put this to bed. And I said, well, you can make the decision, but we have to agree too. So they're going to put it off, I guess, until August. But I would like to go back to the negotiation and try to get a few things that help the city and not hinder. It obviously is written for Barrow County. So, any other questions on this? What you see as a concern or anything on this agreement, the way it's written?
Like 10 years is too long.
Yeah, it's far too long, I would like to negotiate that, and
That's
possibly
way
negotiate.
too long.
If we pay a little bit higher rate, get that 150 taken off the cap.
Yeah. I mean, if they want a cap, that's fine, but not at 150.
Yes.
Let's try to get it up towards 200 or maybe a little bit above that.
It takes a good 2 to 3 years if we drill a well to go from, putting the hole in the ground and if everything is favorable, actually producing water. So, if we did 2 wells, you're looking at roughly 6 years, maybe 5 on the location. So that's why I'm thinking 5 years with a possible out, or do that's just my suggestions, and, you know, you all have to have a helm on it. Anything else that anyone wants to bring up on that? Okay, well, please read over it. Any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and Jordan, and we can go from there. Number 7 is T-SPLOST. It's Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. This is obviously a discussion on the T-SPLOST referendum. There are discussions going on with other municipalities that, you know, we're not the only ones that have problems with the roads, believe it or not. If you do any traveling, you know that, you know, even, you know, downtown Winder has issues. Now, the way T-SPLOST, the agreement really has to be agreed to between the city of Winder, who I believe has about 54% of the population, and the county. And the rest of us just have to kind of agree to go along for the ride. And the negotiations part I was involved with last Wednesday. One of the suggestions was the way it has worked in the past in other municipalities is basically I guess call it a per capita. So again, Winder and the county would get the bigger portions, and then each municipality would get a lesser amount as it goes down in population. I think Winder has proposed some other possible options, and I believe it was shot down by the commissioners and with no suggestions. I don't know how everyone feels on the council. When we are eligible for LMAG, it is April, correct me if I'm wrong, about $43,000.
Yes, I just received a letter in the mail, I think on Tuesday, and I believe the city's LMIG dollar amount that we would be eligible for is $41,300, with the 30% match. So in order for us to receive $41,000, we have to put up 30% of that.
And the downside of that is that we only have a certain amount of time in order to use it. So,
Well, it would be used very quickly. I think that
Yeah,
the amount of time that we have to use it, I think it's 4 years. I believe it's 4 years after it's been provided, but dollars would probably get us about 700 feet of road. So not very much.
so, you know, I mean, our audits done, or, you know, mid-August, and at that point, we will be off of the problem list with the states, but still, you know,
Yeah, and
if
then
we
we have,
match it, we're looking at $70,000, so this is an opportunity in a way. The transportation is basically anyone that drives through and buys a pack of chewing gum or a bottle of soda. Yeah, there's a penny that would be collected. So it's not just the citizens of that city, it's travelers, it's citizens from other cities that come to your city and spend money and support your local businesses. So
it's essentially the same thing as the SPLOST.
Yes.
Except the difference is
categories that you use your money for, and T-SPOS, you have to actually identify projects. That's part of the approval process.
T-SPOS was put on the referendum a few years back, and it was a regional transportation SPOS. It did not pass. But the regions that it did pass in are doing really, really good, like Richmond County, Augusta, that area, Columbus. And I agree with it. I think that we need it desperately. Any amount that we can get is something that we need, and I just think we go with it. So,
Would this be put on this year's?
Well, if we can get the county to agree to it, because only the county can put it on a referendum. And like I said, it was brought to them, the council, Winder Council, voted unanimously to go with the T-SPOS and presented it. And, it was turned down. Why, I don't know, I don't have the details, but, I think it's a good thing. I think knowing what I know now, the LMIG is actually a supplement to the T-SPOS. Because there is, you know, I think we all get educated when we're in these seats that, you know, you think that LMIG is a lot of money, but then when you start to figure it out, it's a very minute part, so.
So the T-SPOS we would have to vote on as a council here, and then.
We would basically agreeing that we're on board.
Yeah.
But whatever we get would be decided between the city of Winder and the county, because they get the votes being the
Yeah,
most.
the process goes that, it's just like a normal SPOS. So the cities and the counties have to agree on an agreement.
Right.
Once that happens, then it goes to the citizens to vote for it. And if the citizens don't approve it, the agreement's null and void.
Any other questions on it? And, number 8 is a lost, fund. This is a local option sales tax. And I was involved in a negotiation with that. And there again, I think the county kind of took a stand that, the population was the best way to go. Winder has proposed they feel the way, and so I don't know how many more negotiation meetings there'll be, but again, it's going to be between the county and the city of Winder. The nice part about the loss is that you can use it for other projects or.
Well, right now, loss it is deposited each month by the state of Georgia into our general fund account, and it is used for operating expenditures. So we include that as part of our general revenue receipts.
And it gets negotiated every 10 years. It basically follows the census. So, you know, whatever you do is what you live with for the next 10 years. And we just need to decide if we're going along with an agreement, and then the negotiations will be done above us. So, any questions on that? Do we have anyone signed up for citizen input?
Yes, Mayor. Miss Mary Lay would like to come and speak to council about the ticket.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I know a lot of that. To the mayor and to the council and to everybody in here. My name is Mary Lay, and I live on off of Hammers Road. I live 462 Place Road. But what I'm speaking to you all about is my daughter was in town. I've been sick, and my daughter's in town seeing about me. She lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So she was driving across, and I think on 8th Street, in the area of 8th Street and Railroad. And she said she did not see the police. Well, I'm not talking about down the police, because I love police. But she said he was hid back up in there, and she got a ticket. And And, so she didn't know what to do with the ticket. So then I took the ticket, and I went around there to the station, there was a lady in there, and I asked her how much the ticket was, and she pulled it up on the thing, and it was $140. I said, $140? And she had never had it, she really doesn't live here, she doesn't have a record here. And, she said, yeah. So then she said, I have to have cash money because, they take cards, I think she told me, but they don't take checks. So I had to trade it back over to the Old South Bank and get $140 to pay her. But now, what my conversation with you all is about, I think if she had never had a ticket here or whatever, they should have warned her. She should have got a warning. I didn't think it was handled right because I've been in different situations and the police talked to me and gave me a warning and said, go on this time and we'll get you the next time. But she said he threw the ticket at her, and that's my conversation with you all. I don't think a person that don't have no record or anything, they are from out of town, wasn't aware that police was sitting and charging her $140. I could have seen 100, but 140. But I know it went to the city to help you. So thank you. That's my conversation. Thank you. Ms. Lang, you asked the question. What was the ticket for? What did she do? He said she ran the red light. On 8th Street, there's a railroad track and the red light. And he said she didn't stop.
Stop sign.
You're supposed to stop and go. I stop now, and I go. I sit there for car behind me. I stop and I go. $140. She said he said that she put her foot on the brake, but she didn't stop and then start back. And I said, I don't know. The police department got the record. And it's been paid, but I think it could have been handled in a better situation. So she could have got a warrant. She doesn't live here. She lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee. $140. It's not a red light exit. Railroad track in 8th Street, and that's a stop sign. A stop sign. Okay.
They're still right there on, well, I guess it's 8th Street right there.
One of these, like, a lot of people roll. Well, in the future, because it really needs to put guardrails right there when you come out turning, making that corner, it really needs some guardrails over there on that side. Because it's dangerous that when you come in from the post office, make that curve there, you really need, I didn't come to run the city, but you need guardrails. But I just think he could have asked why you do it or whatever. He didn't have to charge her $140. But anyway, we paid it, but I just want to speak about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Mayor, next is Mr. Torelli. To speak about traffic calming.
Mayor, council, legend, thank you all for giving me a couple minutes. I do want to talk about traffic calming. I also want to talk about the trucks on Broad Street and on Price Street. I do want to commend Chief Underwood so much for getting the police out. He spent a lot of time, I know on Broad, I think on Price also. He has since, of course, taken the police off. They can't be out there 24/7. Trucks are still getting through. Instead of worrying about having the police out there, I would just want to look into maybe forming a committee. We can put there are no truck signs allowed or no through trucks allowed on Broad Street. I know that there are some on Price Street, but they're small and old. We can put signs up, bigger signs on Price. We can also put no trucks allowed on the pavement, so trucks see it. No trucks allowed on 8th Street before they even pull onto Broad Street. I just think that there's stuff that we can do, stuff that we can look into, maybe get a committee. I know that there's a lot of speeding also still on Broad. Get stop signs on 3rd Street, 6th Street, and 7th Street, make all those three-way stops, maybe deter trucks from even coming down Broad Street with all the stop signs. We've discussed, Mr. Penn has discussed the speeding out on Dooleytown, which of course make Broad Street and Dooleytown a three-way stop. Mr. Patterson has talked about doing a crosswalk, a pedestrian crosswalk, between that subdivision that is out there.
Robert Bridges.
Yeah, Robert Bridges and into the, I can't remember what I had down, but anyway. Granite Lane, have a crosswalk there, maybe have street signs up saying warning pedestrian, maybe that'll slow some drivers down. I think that there are alternatives out there that doesn't have to be speed bumps, it doesn't have to be citizens paying for speed bumps, which I think is great. I would love to have speed bumps, but I think there's a lot more that we can do. Also, I think that these 18-wheelers delivering to Dave's, they're driving on the north side, or they're pulling in the north side of 3rd Avenue and then backing up over Broad Street into that alley. Both the Dooleys and Cricket have talked about trucks blocking their driveways. There are people who work from home at 1932 and 1936 Broad. There's a day sleeper at 1944. The trucks have pulled in. They get frustrated, blow their horns. They pulled in while Statham Elementary is letting out. The cars are having to pull around them, creating hazards. It seems like there's a natural loading dock at the front of Dave's on Railroad Street, which seems like a natural commercial area. If there's something that we can work out with them to have them load the trucks that way, and that way the residents there on Broad aren't too well affected. I'm also thinking if we can get a committee together, once we do have money, we'll know what we want to do with it. We'll know exactly how much we need, and it will be a much quicker process. I know it's government. Believe me, I know this isn't going to be overnight, but I just think that there's small stuff that we can do right now, to speed stuff up. I printed out the internet. I just did some easy Google searches, and I just came across some stuff, and I waited till after I got done, because I knew Councilman Patterson would be fumbling through it and not paying attention to me. To hand them out. This is just ideas. But I know that Fry Street is still a problem, and it is on Broad, and I do actually have stats here. For an 18-wheeler, it is thought that an 18-wheeler, one 18-wheeler is the equivalent of 9,600 cars, and that for a pavement that is designed to last 20 years will wear out in 7 years with truck traffic. So it's just stuff to think about, stuff to kick around. That's all.
Thanks, Tim. On that note, I know Lee and I talked this afternoon, and I think we're gonna try to get that back on a discussion item next month, so we can at least keep it in people's minds.
And it's a good idea about forming a committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, Captain, I don't know if we can get the motor carrier compliance division down here to start busting some of these truckers.
Yes, sir.
Maybe if they start getting tickets left and right, they'll
Yeah,
stop,
they
I
were
don't know.
giving them
but-
kind of warnings
They
at
were,
first,
yeah.
and,
There is a bypass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Both
Oh, they
ways.
have to go up.
You get out, you get on in line, one way or
Yeah,
another.
360 to the bypass.
And I know at Pester, Chief Underwood, I've been texting him with trucks, and he's been great taking care of them, sending guys out and taking care of them, but I really don't still want to keep overloading him. He's been awesome, but I don't want to keep it up. But there's definitely do to deter them even coming through town,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen them, they're trying to back in on Broad Street and have the whole street
Right,
blocked,
exactly,
and people are
right.
just sitting there.
Right. And I know it's at the end of the school year, I know a kindergarten or first grade class is walking through, and also the garden or that daycare that's behind, my house, behind the school. They come out in the afternoon and walk down there. And I know those trucks are backing in. That was it. Thank you, guys.
I just want to add too, over on White Street, we've had been inundated with taking cleaners coming down through there. And my niece absolutely had to pull off the road for one to go through because White Street is very narrow. And, we've seen Walmart go down through there. It's just, I know they were not making a delivery down there.
Yeah.
And so it is, becoming quite a problem.
Yeah.
And Jennifer right over there.
Especially dangerous for people.
And
on the side of the
it
road.
does have no through trucks
Yeah.
over there, but it is a small sign, very small. And, they just ignore it, pretty much.
Anyone else signed up? Something that I put in everybody's possession was, and I probably should just announce it, the New Life Worship, had an agreement with the, Fajita Max Grill in order to get their liquor license, that they would not sell alcohol on the days of worship. The church has basically signed an affidavit that the elders of the church agreed with the Fajita Max that they would allow them to sell alcohol on Sundays after 1 p.m. So they had come to me and I said, well, I know what you did to get the agreement, so if you're modifying that, then the city would need something that says that you are okay with it. So that is what this is. So if anyone's there and sees somebody order alcohol after 1 o'clock, the church is in agreement with it, and they have met with them. So.
The alcohol ordinance says what it says, and it's not a matter of whether or not they approve of it or don't approve of it. So it falls within a restriction regardless of.
So do I need to reach back out to them?
So I would just direct them, if they have questions about the enforceability of the alcohol ordinance, contact you or me or someone of you all, but not, unfortunately, you don't get to waive an obligation in an ordinance based upon what somebody next door thinks.
And last on the agenda is the minutes approval for June 21st, 2022 from the regular meeting. Are there any concerns or corrections to the minutes? There are no questions. I have a motion to accept the minutes. But, okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? So carried. No, that was, you all asked if we had.
Oh, yeah,
Should we provide?